PlayStation 5 Pro support has finally arrived for Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, and it's looking like it's going to be one of the more impressive upgrades seen so far on Sony's mid-generation console. With patch 1.5, the PS5 Pro enhances performance in its 60 frames per second speed mode, while also tackling the occasional blurriness that plagued the same mode before. Both the speed and quality mode now use PSSR instead of FSR2 to improve image quality, pushing internal resolution higher and aiming for a 4K output. In short, quality mode now scales between 1080p and 4K, while speed mode adjusts between 1080p and 1440p. But the real question though is, does the switch to PSSR make a noticeable difference to clarity, especially during fast-paced action? How does it compare to the standard PS5? And when it comes to the 60 frames per second speed mode, does the PS5 Pro finally deliver a smoother experience that base consoles struggled with? But before we start, let's just quickly go over how the game currently runs on the base PS5. The 30 frames per second mode has always been fairly stable, but the speed mode had a tough time, fluctuating between 35 and 60 frames per second. There's now a clear improvement in patch 1.5, the PS5 base model now seeing a 5 to 10 frames boost in performance, and in some cases even more. Also, first up, let's take a look at the image quality on the PS5 Pro in speed mode. So this is 60 frames per second using PSSR, and it looks pretty decent to me. It's like you've got a fairly sharp image quality. But I do love the 60 frames per second. Absolutely love 60 frames per second. I'm not a fan of 30 frames per second. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But yeah, very nice image quality. I'll stay in the same place. There's lots of good detail around here and some shiny effects from the surface water and things like that. And we'll now switch to quality mode, because this literally prioritizes performance or image quality. We'll do that and apply. I'll leave it in the same place for the moment. Now, this may not be completely apparent straight away when watching a YouTube video, because YouTube does compress the image quality, so even a 4K image is not as good as what you're seeing in real life. But I can see a distinctive difference between this image quality I'm looking at now. The sharpness, the resolution is definitely a little bit better in quality mode than it is in performance mode, but we have dropped down to 30 frames a second. Now, if you're one of the people that can't really tell the difference between 30 frames a second and 60 frames a second, and there are those people out there, a lot of people say they can't really tell the difference. So if that's the case, just stick it in quality mode and you'll enjoy these crisper, sharper graphics at 30 frames a second, and all well and good. But if you're like me, if you really notice this 30 frames a second, and what's weird is some of the people that like 30 frames a second, that to them it's exactly the same as 60 frames, kind of say that all you got to do is play in this mode for 5-10 minutes and your brain will adjust to it. But that's not the case. I've been playing games for 40 years, and ever since the arcade games in the arcades, and to me 30 frames a second, I always notice it. I always notice this drudgeriness. If it hasn't got better for me in 40 years, it's not going to get better in 5-10 minutes of playing a game like this. Alright, so this is still in speed mode, so let's get involved in a little bit of action. So this is where, for me, 60 frames per second just comes into it a bit more as well in the shooting scenes. But it's much easier to aim correctly in 60 frames per second mode than I do in 30 frames per second. Again, that's just me because I'm used to it. If you're used to 30 frames per second, you'll have adjusted to that already. You on, mate. Get it out of the way. Oof. Well hard. And you'll be absolutely fine with it. There we go. What's going on there? There's a weird effect going on over there. Let's see if that's still apparent in the other mode. Yeah, it's all around some sort of weird graphical glitch.
Just make sure the launcher is still standing when I get there.
I mean, this is a good looking game. I mean, it really is a nice looking game. Fantastic graphics. Looks really, really nice. I mean, look at this. Wow. It's absolutely fantastic. Really, wow. This is really, really good. Well impressed by this game on the Pro. It's definitely a visual upgrade from the PS5. It's like I played it a little bit on the PS5, and this is definitely a visual upgrade. There's absolutely no question about it whatsoever. I mean, it's not night and day difference. It's not like, oh, crikey, really? I was so busy just looking at stuff that I didn't notice myself being attacked by these things. What are these things? Get off me! Get off me! What the heck? Yes, just get off me. Thank you. Let me look at the graphics. I was looking over there. Ah, there's more of these things. Probably chainsaw them. Just bat them off. It's a lot easier. Get rid of it. Right, so that felt good. Oh, crikey, there's more. Let's switch to quality mode and see how the combat feels in this. Because this is one of the things for me, how responsive it feels when you go to 30 frames a second mode. Let's try some shooting first. Get on. That's alright, I don't mind it. If this was the only thing that was available, I'd be okay with it. Right, so let's continue on a bit. See, I didn't have any problem there with the shooting side of things in the game, but the problem I have with 30 frames a second is because I noticed that drudginess and that jerkiness absolutely straight away. It sounds weird, but it kind of reminds me that I'm in a game. As soon as I see that, I can move forward, I can be involved in the story massively, have a good fight which takes me away from thinking I'm in a game, because you can get really immersed in these things sometimes. But as soon as I move around and start seeing this jerkiness, it subconsciously reminds me that I'm playing a game again. And that's what I don't want it to do. I want to forget that I'm playing a game. I want to get totally involved in it. To the point where, you know, you're just enjoying it and you're in it for the story, the action, and you can't wait to see what happens next. But it does look nice. I mean, this part here looks really good. This foliage and stuff here looks definitely a lot better than it did on the PS5 base model, where I remember it being distinctly murkier than this. Using FSR2. PSSR definitely is making a difference in this game in a good way. There's some games where PSSR basically isn't doing a particularly great job at all. There's lots of that shimmering going on and things like that. But games like this and other ones as well show that it's not PSSR itself, it's how it's implemented which decides how good or effective the PSSR is. Right, so what I'm going to do here, this is a nice detailed scene. This swampy area here is very detailed. There's lots going on. There's shimmery effects going on in the water. There's particle effects floating around, and there's a lot of detail in the scene. So this is in speed mode. I'll just let you get accustomed to that. And without moving the character, I'll now switch over to quality mode. Right, so this is a quality mode. Just switched over. I don't know if a YouTube video is going to show up or not, because like I said before, YouTube does compress the image quality, but in real life you can actually see that difference between the resolution and the overall sharpness of the picture, but at the cost of frame rate. It does look pretty nice though. I'm going to switch back to speed mode in a second. I'll just move up and down a little bit to show that we are in 30 frames a second mode. If you're one of the people that's intolerant to that, like I am, you'll see that is 30 frames a second mode absolutely straight away, because we notice it. But some people don't. I kind of would like to be one of them people in a way, because I do prefer quality mode for the image quality, but I can't handle that 30 frames a second. So let's now switch back over to, hey, hang on, there's stuff coming here. Let's see if we can, they're getting nearer. They're getting nearer. How long can I hold off the horde for if we go into mad mode? Here we go. Come on then, have it. There you go. There you go. All over that. Right, so this is speed mode, as you can see from the smoothness, 60 frames a second. It feels really steady to me on that. FPS as well. What's he found? Mine now. You won't be needing that anymore. Cheers. But yeah, like for PSSR, really good looking game. Not seeing any real faults in the image quality. I mean, I don't look so hard. I don't go around like staring at everything from like, you know, an inch away. I'm not getting like 2 inches away from the from the screen sort of thing, trying to find faults. I'm just playing the game as I would normally from a normal distance, and I'm seeing what I notice from there. If I see anything noticeable, I'll point it out, but I'm not going to pixel peep. You know, some people, some websites, they look at these things from, you know, a magnifying glass, and they point out, oh my god, look at this foliage here. This is like, if you look at it from 2 inches away from the telly, you can see it's got a fuzzy edge. Who cares if it's got a fuzzy edge from 2 inches away from the telly? That's not how you play it. You play it from a normal distance, and when I compare a game or compare the graphics from one mode to the next, or on the PS5 Pro versus the base version, I'm going to play it from the normal viewing distance, because that is how the people programmed it. They didn't make the graphics and the quality of the graphics to be judged from 2 inches away. They judged it with normal eye resolution in mind at a normal playing distance. This is how I think of it anyway. But let's this is a particularly good looking area here. Lots of colour going on, lots going on. The fire's happening, the sparkles from the fire, you've got the trees, you've got the sky and the light, and whoa, reflections down there. It's really, really good looking scene, this. Let's one last time switch back. Let's go to quality mode, see what we think. Yep, I can see it in real life straight away again, that slight jump up in resolution and image quality, but at the cost of that frame rate, which is horrible. Actually, the frame rate actually feels a little bit, yeah, it feels worse in this scene for some reason. It probably isn't. It probably is still 30 frames a second, but yeah, that is drudgery as heck. Ugh, no, not a fan myself. I mean, it's probably still sticking at 30 frames a second, I'm guessing, but for some reason, there's so much going on in this scene, that looks like, nah, not for me. But it does look very pretty. It does look really pretty. The graphics, when you're not moving around, are particularly stunning in this game. But I'm going to switch back to speed mode just to finish up on. Because to me, the trade-off is just so worth it. Not quite as crisp, not quite the resolution, but my goodness, that smoothness for me is an absolute game changer. So there it is, there's the video. If you enjoyed it, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. It really does help. Many more PS5 Pro comparisons coming in the future. But thanks for watching, and bye for now.